Breaking news to bring you away from tonight's games. It's news from Old Trafford. It's news we've been waiting for, and it is finally confirmed. Manchester United, they say, are pleased to confirm
Rúben Amorim feels like the first manager who I've seen who sticks with a system rather than an idea of how to play. So, I use you, Roberto, as a reference. I always know how your teams will play with the ball. That's your idea. The formation might change, but Rúben Amorim, it's like, I've said this before, the formation's his baby. And to not change it or alter it in situations like that, I don't understand how you can stick with something so steadfastly in a situation like that when it's basically, one guy up front who's not really up front. You don't need three players there. If you're going to keep with your system, maybe put midfield players there. We see other managers do that. Maybe you bring a centre-back off and put a midfield player there because you're going to have so much more of the ball, so much more of possession. So I actually think it's not the losing the 3 points tonight. They can make that up through the season. I think it's one of those moments where I think a lot of people will really question the manager on the back of that defeat. They'll look at the players, and we know the players should do better, but the manager will take a lot of the blame for tonight.
What a game we have in store tonight. From Manchester United's point of view, how big of an opportunity is this, with so many teams above them dropping points over the weekend?
Yeah, look, things are falling into place for them outside of what's happening here, but they have to do their own job. They're unbeaten in a few games now in the Premier League, having the best run under Rúben Amorim. They're certainly better, and they've got a run of fixtures in front of them. I don't want to get too carried away. They've played a lot of the top teams already, and they've got a run of fixtures in front of them whereby ordinarily you would think Manchester United's squad and team should be able to pick up a lot of points. But that's saying it, that's the words. They have to now go out on the pitch and do it. So starting tonight is a very important part of the season. I always think when the international breaks are over, you get into this period in November, December, January, February, and that's where a lot of the season's played out. Really important part of the season for everybody. But United, if they're going to finish in that top 4 or 5, this is where they have to deliver now in this next couple of months.
I just wondered, with previous managers, previous United teams, maybe after Grimsby and Brentford, the team, the manager could have unravelled. But does Rúben Amorim deserve more credit about how they've been able to stable the ship a little bit?
I mean, look, it was pretty bad around that time, and I was very fearful of what could happen. The club, do you have to give credit to anybody really for just picking up a few more points? Because, I mean, look, they spent a lot of money in the summer. They shouldn't be in the position that they're in anyway. But there's no doubt Jim Ratcliffe did a big interview at a time whereby that was definitely a risk. And, he was brave to do that interview at that time because it could have definitely gone the wrong way on him. Obviously Manchester United beat Liverpool a few days later, and from that there is feel like there's a renewed optimism. They're certainly better, but still not built enough trust to be able to say that they're out of the woods. So I think there's a lot of work to do, but it's certainly looking more optimistic.
I'm not sure if you went to the Altrincham Christmas light switch on, but Matheus Cunha was supposed to be there. He didn't go because he picked up a knock on Saturday. Yeah. We'll wait to see if he's involved tonight. But how impressed have you been by the likes of him, Bryan Mbeumo, donning that red shirt, and so far this season?
They've made a big impact. The hunger, the way in which they approach the game, they're really sort of direct. I like everything that they've done. It maybe could have taken more chances, particularly in the early part of the season. It would have meant Manchester United would have been in a better position than they currently are now. But I think they've been fantastic signings. I hope he's fit tonight. We don't know yet whether actually he is going to be, but they make a big difference when they both play up top together.
And I just wonder from Everton's point of view, Gary, there's no doubt they have creative players other than Njai, Jack Grealish. But how much does David Moyes need his two strikers to start scoring in front of goal? Yeah,
I mean, I saw a stat earlier on today looking on the way up on the train. It looked like that the chances were being created for them. I've seen a couple of Everton games. I was at the Tottenham game, and obviously Grealish and Njai are capable of getting those balls into the box, but Barry and Beto, they have to basically deliver. They have to go and take those chances. And David Moyes, I think, has known that from the start of the season. That's maybe a weakness. But look, I think United tonight, they're playing against an Everton team who are quite good defensively, so they're going to have to make sure that they stop them getting those chances. And Grealish is a massive threat. I think he just always going to do something in a game.
And just finally, Gary, I was at Rúben Amorim's news conference on Friday. It was dominated about AFCON, Brian Mbeumo, Ahmad, Mazraoui all going to AFCON. But what Amorim mentioned was actually the academy players who could step up in their absence. Shea Lacey, Jack Fletcher too, he mentioned. How positive is that maybe he's kind of referencing the academy and how big of a part they could play in the next few months?
Yeah, I mean, look, the United Academy has always had to play a part in this club. It's that record of 70-odd years where United have always had a player in the matchday squad. But like I say, I like the idea of a manager not making excuses when players get injured or players go to AFCON. You know, Manchester United signed those players knowing that they were going to be gone for this tournament, so they can't whinge about it. You knew full well when you signed them this was going to happen. And Manchester United should have enough players, whether it be the youth players or whether it be players in the rest of the squad, that can come in and deliver. And it's great that he's referencing academy players. If Manchester United lose touch with their academy and the history of youth at this club, then a large part of the club dies. So, no, that can never happen.
Manchester United have been thrown into chaos after the club officially announced the dismissal of manager Rúben Amorim following an embarrassing 0-1 defeat to 10-man Everton at Old Trafford. What should have been a straightforward home victory turned into one of the most humiliating nights of the season, pushing the United board to take decisive action. The pressure on Amorim had been intensifying for weeks. Despite arriving with high expectations and a reputation for tactical innovation, the Portuguese manager struggled to imprint a clear identity on the team. United's performances had grown increasingly disjointed, lacking intensity, direction, and leadership both on and off the pitch. Breaking point. Facing an Everton side reduced to 10 men, United still failed to create meaningful chances, appearing lifeless and uninspired in front of their home fans. The atmosphere inside Old Trafford quickly turned toxic as frustrations boiled over. Chants of discontent echoed throughout the stadium, with supporters demanding accountability from both the manager and the club hierarchy. For many fans, losing to a weakened Everton team symbolized everything that has gone wrong this season. What should have been a routine match instead highlighted the deep-rooted issues that have plagued United's campaign: poor structure, tactical confusion, and a squad lacking belief. Amorim's appointment was initially hailed as a fresh start, but his tenure never managed to gather momentum. A string of inconsistent results and an inability to stabilize the dressing room left the board with little choice. His departure marks yet another chapter in United's turbulent managerial history since the post-Ferguson era. The club now stands at a critical crossroads. The search for a new manager has already begun, with senior officials emphasizing the need for a leader capable of restoring stability, enforcing discipline, and reconnecting the team with the supporters. Fans are calling for sweeping changes, not just in coaching but across the entire structure of the club. The coming weeks will be defining for Manchester United. As the board assesses potential replacements, the squad must regroup quickly to salvage what remains of their season. Whoever takes the reins next will inherit a team in desperate need of direction, confidence, and a renewed sense of identity. With emotions running high and expectations rising, the world now watches closely to see how Manchester United respond to yet another crisis. One thing is clear: the next decision could shape the future of the club for years to come.